Now that we've stored all of our looks, how do we get them back? What do you do when you want to recall one of those looks that we stored in a sub or a queue or a group? That's what we want to cover right now. Once you store your cues in a show, typically those are what are used commonly in a play, because you will start with cue number 1 as the first cue in your play, and then you will progress numerically from cue 1 to cue 2 to cue 3. And the last cue in your play might be cue 100 or even more than that. And remember, you have 600 cues available to you. What's great about the cue list is that when you play them back, they're pretty much automatic. And you push a button called Go, which goes from one cue to the next cue to the next cue to the next cue. And everything is automatic from the beginning all the way to the end. So let's look at how we do that. First, on our display, we're going to see that our cue list is here. And we have a couple of cues recorded, if we remember from when we recorded the cues in the storing section. We have a list here. We have cue 1 and cue 2, both with time of 5. The way we play back those cues are in our fader pairs. Now, the Express console is unique in that it has actually 2 sets of fader pairs, each with its own Go button, actually each with its own set of buttons that are all duplicated. Typically, we will be playing back our cues in the CD fader pair. That's the one that is mostly used. The AB fader pair, first of all, if your console is set up in 2-scene mode, is reserved to fading back and forth between the A and the B scene. And then the AB fader pair is also sometimes used to play back effects. So for the most part, we want to stick with one Go button, just pick one, and we usually do the CD fader pair since the AB fader pair may not be available. And we use that Go button. It's important to remember that when you're running your show, you stick with one Go button. You don't want to accidentally hit the other Go button because you may execute a cue that you don't want to do. So once we're ready to play back a cue, I've got cue 1 ready. I can just simply hit Go and make sure that my fader pairs are all the way up to the top. And you'll see a couple of things happening on my display. First, in my playback status display, I have an indication that cue 1 is complete and it is faded to 100% of completion. You can also see that my channels have gone to the levels that I recorded into that cue. Now when I'm ready to go into cue 2, I simply hit the Go button again, and you can see that the cue is counting and tells me that cue 2 is now complete, and I have my channels that are now cue 2. It's a completely different look from cue 1, and there was a crossfade in 5 seconds, which was indicated by my time here. Next to the Go button is a Hold button. I can use this button to temporarily pause the fade of the cue. So if I type cue 1, I'm going to press Go, and then right after that, I'm going to press Hold, and we can see what happens. So I push Go and Hold, and now you'll see I've got alternating lights between Go and Hold. In my playback status display, I see that I've held cue 1, and my lights are somewhere halfway between cue 1 and cue 2. When I want to continue the cue, I press Go again, and the cue will fade to completion. The other buttons associated with the CD fader pair, there's a back button. This allows me to reverse through the cue list, so I could go from cue 2 back to cue 1 if I want to. And then another button that we want you to be aware of is the clear button. This button will take the cue out of the fader pair. It essentially blacks out your stage, so it's important to know not to press the clear button during a show. The clear button is typically reserved for a time when you're finished, you're about to turn off the console, you want to black out the stage, you're done playing all of your cues, you hit clear, the fader pair is cleared, all of your lights are off. And that is how you play back cues on an Express console.